Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Ranyah Salous with Guidehouse. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Neeraj Koul, CDO at Federal Railroad Administration. Quick background about myself. I have supported a number of engagements across various technology projects over the last 12 years. 6 of those years I have been at Guidehouse, focusing on supporting the Department of Transportation and Federal Aviation Administration in using technology and innovation to support their missions. Regardless of the capability, whether it's data analytics, AI ML, automation, cloud, system modernization, you name it, data has been at the center of every initiative that I have led, with the CDO playing an integral role in the success of these projects. So as you can imagine, the discussion today is very near and dear to me. With that, I'll hand it over to you, Dr. Koul, to introduce yourself.
My name is Neeraj Koul. I'm a senior technical advisor here within the Federal Railroad Administration, and I also serve as FRA Chief Data Officer. I'm a formally trained computer scientist with a PhD in computer science. I have close to 2 decades of experience of figuring out how do we leverage data to meet mission objectives. My career has taken me across academia, private sector, not-for-profit, and the federal government.
We know challenges are inevitable in any transformative journey. What do you consider to be the most significant challenges in advancing FRA's data capabilities? And what techniques have been successful in supporting that?
That's a very good question. Within FRA, we have various offices. We have Office of Safety, whose main focus is kind of around safety. We have the legal side of the house. What I essentially see that as a data management perspective is that has resulted sometimes in siloed data sets. What that essentially means is, well, logically, these data sets, a challenge is essentially that this data set isn't integrated, so that if we want to garner holistic insights, be able to look at the safety from the point of view here when we are making grants to improve safety, from the point of view when we are making sure the railroads are compliant, from a research perspective as we are advancing research. What I want to mention is FRA also has a non-trivial grant making and a research portfolio. We essentially do fund projects in AI and other related effects to show what is the art of the possible. In fact, within FRA, we have been funding AI-related projects for a long time, for several decades, that to make sure how we can advance this field before they can be operationalized. So there exist challenges, and the challenges are that now we have to do essentially what we call is the manual way of combining these data sets, and which often, given the timelines that we work around, given the challenges we have for short turnaround, becomes a big limitation. So that's one of essentially the challenges that we need to address. To address this challenge, what we have essentially figured out that we need to have 3 parties at the table. So one essentially is the business owners, who essentially know what their current need is, the system developers, the IT, to make sure all the security and things are in place. But we also need data management and data experts to be at the table, who take an enterprise view of these systems, so that they are able to ensure, build in what we call as linkages, build in the capability to integrate these data sets. One of our opportunities, I wouldn't say challenges, is how do we go to the next stage of our analytical maturity, which is essentially take this data and are able to do advanced analytics on top of them to make sure that we garner even more profound and holistic insights from the data that is available. The third part of the thing I have already addressed, again, I see this as an opportunity of making sure that we have a baseline level of data understanding across the entire organization. I believe data is critical, and ensuring that all our practitioners have a basic knowledge of what data is and how it can be leveraged is important. So within FRA, what we have done is essentially establish a data community of practice. And while traditionally the data community of practice mostly focus on data practitioners, where they talk about the latest techniques, the latest visualization tools, which is surely the focus of our data community of practice. We actually also have end users out there, the inspectors, the grant managers, to be able to come to that same forum and understand, identify the challenges and say, here's the problem that we have, and how do we ensure that we solve them. So what we are looking towards is embedding some of our data folks at the beginning of when we are developing solutions to make sure that they are able to understand what the end users need, rather than just what has happened in traditionally what they ask or what they think they need, to make sure we're able to meet their needs.
Absolutely. And I think it's key to make sure that you have all the individuals at the table, to your point, because part of what the business may be asking for is influences the techniques being leveraged by the data practitioners and how they suggest it. So I think having that type of collaboration, definitely helps promote a successful rollout of a solution that may require less rework or revisions downstream, right? So there's definitely, I think, an advantage of having a committee that incorporates the business and is involved in these decisions as the data practice evolves and matures over time. So that's great to hear.
So we also want to make sure that our data is available to end users in an agile manner, particularly a practitioner. And other organizations that I have been a part of, this thing is to get access to the data, you have to go through multiple hoops. One is essentially to make sure, from a governance point of view, to make sure, hey, you have the business need to have access to that data. We also need to make sure that when we are leveraging this data, we have the IT, the security requirements, the data owners are on the table. And often what happens is that these things serve, while they are necessary, they also serve as not as a barrier, but as a challenge that prevents the agility to access the data. So what we have done at FRA is essentially put together something that we call DAPR, Data and Architecture and Planning and Review Board. And that essentially consists of experts, data management experts. It consists of our security experts. It consists of our IT experts, and it surely has a CDO as part of it. Our end users, if they have a need or something and they need something, they actually come to this forum where they talk about, hey, here's our need. And we, in an agile manner, since we have all the people at the table, we're able to make these decisions fast and make the data available to the end users. One of the key things that we have from what we call is set data free. As I talked in the beginning, that we have data silos and something. So I see this as being where data is constrained from the being able to be leveraged within FRA for meeting mission needs. So the DAPR is a means of making sure we're able to meet our end users' needs in an agile manner, while making sure that we are all kosher from the point of governance, security, and all the other aspects that generally are steps that you need to do to get access to the data.
Yeah, I can almost see some branding there. Dapper, set data free. I can put that as a bumper sticker on my car. I think a lot of different organizations support the accessibility of data to the business across the various offices, and in your case, even publicly, right? So I think it's great that there's a committee committed to making that happen and having all of those key decision makers at the table to accelerate the process and get people that data in a more timely manner. So that's great to hear. So the future of rail safety and efficiency sounds very promising from everything that you've shared. Looking ahead, what excites you most about the potential of data and technology to transform rail safety and efficiency? And what role do you see FRA playing in leading that transformation?
And this is a very good question and something very near and dear to me, and I'll tell you why that is the case. FRA has its regulatory arm where we go back and make sure that our railroads are safe doing inspections. What excites me about the data and technology is kind of moving into this some non-traditional ways through which FRA can advance safety. As I mentioned, our current regulations are something I think they established the floor to make sure our railroads are safe. But I think that's just one aspect of it. What we need to look towards is some more innovative ways through which data can be leveraged to even make our railroads safe. So one of the key things that I think I'm excited about is something that we call the Railroad Information and Sharing Environment, or the RISE. So RISE is a data trust that FRA is essentially supporting. The goal is essentially where the various stakeholders within the railroad industry work collaboratively to share data and get systemic insights from this data to advance safety. And this is in a collaborative and in a non-regulatory manner, supporting this to reduce barriers where barriers exist to sharing these data. And these barriers may be because of that the data is proprietary, making sure that the data is only used for advancement of safety. Again, this isn't something new. The data trusts, FAA, the Federal Aviation Authority, has something that's called ASIAS that has been very, very successful, where all the stakeholders essentially work collaboratively to make sure that they're able to share and data in a manner that enables to advance safety. The other thing I am looking towards is one of our biggest focuses of safety is around grade crossings and trespassing. Mm-hmm. And this is a challenging area because there's a lot of folks that are involved in, right from the federal government, FAR and its various sister agencies. So what we are looking towards is, can we use some innovative ways where we have some of these technology companies work together to make sure that we're able to build some innovative solutions to advance safety. So this innovative use of data and technology companies in a non-traditional setting, that I think is very important. And again, how I see FRA, this thing is, as we don't regulate this, is facilitating some of these kind of forums to make sure that these efforts get advanced, whether it's through RISE, or whether it's making sure some of innovative solutions are being developed, whether it's facilitating these meetings, or even supporting funding research around these activities.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. And, it's important that we do explore those non-traditional methods, because these companies like Google, Apple, Microsoft, they invest millions, if not billions of dollars on an annual basis in better understanding things such as traffic patterns and other considerations that are influenced by the railroad and just transportation in general. So how do you leverage that innovation? How do you leverage that technology to enable you all? Although it is more of a commercial, private type of industry, it supports the similar mission, right? So I think that's great to hear that you are creating forums and platforms to collaborate with them and bring the latest and greatest into the conversation. That's great.
In addition to our traditional things, which we think is very important, and we need to continue to do something that we call essentially rail share. So this is where railroad stakeholders get together and essentially are able to share insights in a manner that allows for advancement of safety. And again, this is something that we are borrowing from things that have been put in place in other modes like aviation. And that's essentially something, again, while talking about this thing, non-traditional mechanisms. That's something I'm very, very excited about too.
Thank you, Neeraj, for joining me today. It has been a pleasure discussing the transformative power of data and technology in the transportation industry.
Thank you, Ranyah. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you about some of the data-related activities within FRA, and really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks a lot.